Despite both regionals and worlds being played on the last patch, in their preparations for the EWC, pros noticed something that we have overlooked all this time. That being, given the right itemization, the Akali is one of the strongest units in the game right now, both as a vehicle for Fast 9 and in that reroll variant with Jax. Therefore, for today, we're going to be jumping in game with one of the last remaining ladder warriors, WigWugg, looking at both of these playstyles and then summarizing our learnings. We are starting out here in the duplicator encounter, holding onto the Rek'Sai pair. Have also a possibility for time brokers, doesn't seem to be wanting to lean into this Twisted Fate reroll. For our item slam, if we are playing around this Akali, Striker's Flail is one of her core items, and then we have an open chain for potential for the Stone Plate. Otherwise, if we had a stronger board, could consider plus slamming that Sunfire. Otherwise, our direction might not be locked in too much, but given the strength of Akali, he probably wants to consider playing around her. Given the 2 tanky would pretty much make us play into that Samira line. Have to consider if that's any form of contested, particularly that Ornn. Advanced Loan is not something I like on 2-1. On 3-2, you know the odds of the last augment, so it's a little bit more, there's a little more incentive to be clicking it if you know the odds. Woven Magic is great if you have mana generating item, otherwise can provide you with that item tempo. And maybe he's considering Akali to be strong enough of an option. It's the best option of these 3 that I personally like, but I would perhaps leaning into more of direction angle, something that the Legion of Threes could definitely provide. We are scouting around the lobby to see there's few emblem augments already being clicked, some players locking in that direction that way. Saw a player also with 2 tanking. Frontline Foundation also can be good. You would have to probably want a tempo from this 2-star 1 cost, but we have this Akali, and with the Striker's Spell, she might be just broken enough, particularly since we have that 2 Nova in already. But he's going to be going with the Striker's Spell, Woven Magic Slam, picking up an immediate Jax. And now we have to see what the rest of the lobby is going to be playing around. If we are unable to establish strong tempo, then we might want to definitely lean into this reroll, but we have to watch out that we have those stone plates for this Jax. We have that gunblade to funnel healing into him. It is the duplicator encounter, so we might be considering leaning into it a little bit more. But given the potential popularity of this comp already, we are fine to be playing this Akali. And we can see there's Reach for the Stars Jax, so this makes our life a lot more difficult if we want to be playing reroll. I would highly advise against contesting this line unless you have a lot better spot. You have some form of duplicators, extra duplicators. One is just not going to do enough. Because this comp heavily is going to ride on this Jax. Like, you are fine if you hit an Akali 3 early, make it to like a Morgana and try to play around that, but it's going to be very tough in that case. Instead, we are probably angling for another potential. We have the possibility, if we have kindred items, to stabilize on level 8 around 5 Nova, use Akali as a duo carry, or if we are in a strong enough spot to also consider playing around the Fast 9 variant. And we can see there's another, the 2 tanky player is fielding 2 Akalis as well. I am not sure. There's an anime player that's going to be having a high cap as well, playing for that potential for a win out. This player probably considering LeBlanc, I would imagine, open bow with a Gambler's Blade that we're probably looking to reforge a little bit later on. For our gods, we're immediately going with the Thresh. Thresh simply offers the higher cap than the Echo. Echo can be considered as an econ god, but we did not have the Scuttle Puddle that we would be aiming for. Thresh simply with the Mystery Loot has a higher potential upside, especially if you hit something like the Golden Remover. And we pick up a sword for ourselves as we want that gunblade, ideally also the dead blade, but something like a Starax is also completely fine. If you do not have that gunblade, then Age of Night is also a possibility you may consider. The 2 tanky player now seems to be transitioning into the standard variant of the Ornn Samira. We're not going to be seeing some funny things going on. And the player there tempoing on a Briar as well, so the Jinx reroll variant is also going to be locked out, and they are also going to be holding on Akali. So this is why you read the lobby and see that it's probably not going to be able to play around this reroll variant at all. They have 4 Akalis as well, and if we are looking to push levels, that especially if we pick up an Akali pair, we might consider be playing around just reroll, slightly rolling here, right, on level 6 to secure that Akali 2, and Akali 2 is a great vehicle for your Fast 8, Fast 9 boards, since she's so stable and it's going to guarantee you the kills on stage 4 as well, assuming you have decent enough of a front line, right? And whenever you're playing Fast 9, you do not want to be fully open sacking on that stage 4. you want to be considering the possibility. You want to be killing as many units as you can, preserving lives, and the 1-2 extra lives in the late game are going to make the world of the difference. See too many players making it to that stage 4 with 80, 90 HP, and then just taking full losses all of the stage 4, and sometimes they just blame the game because they didn't hit right away, but you needed those extra turns. We would have actually quite a deal spot. We're going to be slamming for this reroll, we're going to be slamming the stone plate nonetheless. Akali itemization though hasn't worked out maybe perhaps that's as well as we wanted to. Steadfast is also a fine slam, but you would ideally still want a second stone plate and a crown guard or a protector's vow for this Jax, just to get him the durability as soon as he possibly can. And the enemy player has immediately picked up also an ASOL. And we are 90 HP. We can consider... No, sorry, 78. Okay, the little loss came a little bit later. We could be considering playing for some time on the tempo Earth. Something that I do not like clicking on 2-1, but on 3-2 we have this possibility for making the Nova emblem and playing it as 5 Nova early on. And playing around the fast 8 version as the reroll is blacked out for us like it quite a lot. Advanced low, now that we have seen a couple of gold augments, we know it's a 67% chance for another gold augment, therefore we might be a little more inclined if you wanted more econ. Second wind, generically strong combat option, particularly in these scaling comps with the Rage Blades, something like a Blanc and the Kindred and the Vex. Very good pickup if you can afford it. Plot armor, if you're running 2 Bastion, use a little bit of value, but there's also a decent combat frontline option like second wind, better side effects, great in your space groove lines that are generally going to be having some healing. We also saw that we picked up a tier, so we could be considering potential for slamming the protector's vow right away as well. And he's going to be going with this Nova emblem, allows us to lock in a line for sure, for certain, and we can see he's already low rolling here. We do not want to be taking full losses, but we are holding on the possibilities here, even not wanting to secure. Okay, great read here. We can use this Nova emblem spike to get to that 5 Nova. We can select the Akali as we do not have the anti-heal right now. That is going to provide the most value. Going against the Worth of 8 Briar 3. Does not seem to have Rogue in, I guess, around this Jinx reroll just yet, so she's not going to be able to drop the aggro and get that early proc to scale down. And the Akali still at the 1-star doing 2.5k damage and pretty much ensuring that we could win that fight. Any wise looking a good pickup is going to be massive, but I would assume that by now a lot of Akalis are out and we didn't hit another one on our roll down, so we're probably not going to be rolling any further since we want to be pushing those levels. The mech player, the anime player is going to be potential threat quite a lot. We have this Maokai too as well, so we do not have another unit rolling for. Right before when we roll, we have a potential to also upgrade the front line, which we did. And now with only rolling for a single unit, we're going to be losing a little bit of the value. Now just simply wanting to also proc as many of these WoW and Magic procs as we can, ensuring there, and we should be in a alright spot to be pushing the level 9. And now, since we have indexed so much on items, I might be preferring Scuttle Puddle here. That's an interesting choice. We could consider it about 9 extra gold worth of, just simply raw gold from the Scuttle Puddle. And since we had to roll, I would be inclined into that, and he seems to agree. A little bit more value in our spot than just simply the Thresh's Random Wound. Can be some misses as well, so this is going to be a safe option. Natural this Akali too, nonetheless, and the Duplicator came in as well, right? This was another reason why we were so inclined on rolling on level 6. If we had a potential to just sit on a pair and hit this Duplicator, utilize it for tempo purposes, could be quite strong. And hopefully we're going to be able to pick up a win here. This player has opted to go into the Xayah instead with this Gambler's Blade. Still an item that I would be looking to reforge in the later stages of the game, not going to be having as much value. But for the attack speed purposes here with the red buff, Xayah is probably going to be able to farm enough gold for them as well. And we natural and Nunu, so he seems, maybe he has already in the planner slotted in some form of a fast 9 board here. Little low on HP for my comfort purposes, knowing that particularly these rerollers are going to be spiking quite hard. Pick up a Nami to tie here and level aggressively, wanting to end on 2 streak here, securing some extra lives. So it seems that his plan is actually to be playing for fast 9, right? Like I mentioned, these extra lives are going to have a lot of value. And thankfully we queue into this player with the 2 tanky who has not even hit a single Samira, so they do not have the damage output to deal with our Maokai too. And this player is probably going to be cashing out 500, and we see a blitz immediately. And you can see he's slotting in the Nova board for now. That is just going to allow us to stabilize a little bit early on. And we obviously want to be making full use of this 5 Nova buff. So this might be a little deviation from your standard fast 9 around your Vex, right? We do not even have a Rage Blade right now. and we do not have a Gunblade either for this Akali, then we could be considering Edge of Night. We had an extra chain. This is interesting how we're going to work out our itemization. Are we going to index on the DB, maybe Giant Slayer? But with Kindred that is going to be coming our duo carry, then we want the Kraken, then Kraken DB maybe, and leave the belt open. He's covering the immediately committing to the Sterek Slam. That is also a survivability and damage option that is nice substitute for a DB, making that Kraken, leaving the sword and tier open. Can make use of that as well. For our last augment, have strong combat options. Jeweled Lotus, we're not going to be gaining at a gold value that much value since we have this Akali providing us with precision. Glass Cannon is a great since we have an amp item, but still we have some backliners that can utilize it quite well. We're going to be fine to position this Akali in the back. Arcane Victory is stronger in these scaling comps, but we do not have that Rage Blade right now. We're more focused on the upfront damage through this Akali for now. And therefore, I would be leaning possibly towards the Glass Cannon. Electro Charge, great if you have very strong tanks. We have a lot of items already, therefore Indiscriminate Killer might not be as much of a value. Simply Glass Cannon to funnel even more power in itemized units might be a little bit of a stronger option. Let's see what WigWugg decides to do. He's going to be going with the Glass Cannon. This is going to allow us to bridge the gap potentially with the strongest comps in the game, especially help us stabilize here on this stage. We do not have a lot of gold to work with. We have this Akali too, probably going to be using her as a potential to get there. And who do we even slot here? We have the Brawler, yeah, the Rast, Rast is going to be a fine option into what seems to be the attempt for Master Yi. They have rolled and pretty much missed, so they're still carrying this talent to have missed Kindred as well. A little bit lower on the econ side. I would ideally looked for a potential for an econ augment there on stage for augment, but we did not exactly hit it. Find this Nami too, and this is nice, interesting way. We gave up onto that, gave up on the Pantheon that we had right there, right? We had a Pantheon to make this replicators right there, but we slammed this blue buff and just going to utilize this Nami as a way for us to stabilize on the stage for a very interesting play performed by him, showing why but just being flexible, right, in your approach. You do not exactly hit your units, but you're going to be hitting sighting, and if you have the items to make it work, it can sometimes work, especially if the lobby is a little bit on the lower econ side. Then just simply having the 2-star forecast since this stage 4 is going to be immense value. 5 rounds, we are wanting to probably be strong right now. We are in decent HP, and given the low gold amount we have right now and a lot of units to still hit, we might not be reaching the highest cap possible. Therefore, probably dealing with Thresh with the mystery loot is more value, and simply he is also the stronger god to be considering. We have the frontline items sorted out, and I suppose the anomaly could go on Akali if we wanted to. Are we going to be seeing Kraken? A bit of sword pickup, yeah. Are we going to be seeing Kraken Nami? That would be interesting. Pick up the Shen immediately as well. So we're high rolling something, we're low rolling little things. Also nice that he was being flexible around this Rammus pair, just getting a strong frontline sword. And since I guess the read was that the Tom Kench and the Morganas are so contested in this lobby, simply finding a stock upgrade and another upgraded unit here, displaying the strong potential. And yeah, okay, the anima player actually just went out there immediately on 4-1, took a full loss. But in that kind of situation, when you are at 14 and you are going to be 14 lives and you're going to be for the finally cash out, you have to be stabilizing your board. And you can take a 5-unit loss, so you simply need to create 3 weaker units. Maybe he queued into the Space Group player or a reroller that has a very strong board and just got unlucky there. A lot of reroll tempo going out in this lobby. We queue into this Ornn 3 with that Radiant, and Warmogs is going to be Oh, this is the other player, my bad. We are not even scouting ourselves, and he's talking about the potential, like, I would assume that right there he was indicating that a lot of econ in this game through offer the gods options. This is something that a lot of players have overlooked throughout this set, is that simply getting the... we have to be playing around your gods, right? You have a lot of econ possibilities from something like an Echo, from RE games. Therefore, in those games you can index on items and combat power, whereas if you're in like the Kale game, then you can, for example, index more on the econ and combat options. Still flexing around this Nami, which is quite interesting of an option. Make the Urgot 2 with our duplicator, and we're going to be saying, are we fine to sit here to make it to that level 9 cap? I mean, certainly Nami too is going to be able to put some work in. This is truly going to be a test of this Akali unit's strength, still using the selector on her for that anti-heal. And we managed to string the streak together throughout the stage, whole stage 4, just by how strongly we were able to. Being flexible, make a strong board, and get there. And now we're going to be picking up this Graves, immediately not slotting out this Nami. We have the life cushion, the HP cushion for ourselves to make it to that level 9 now through this flexibility on the stage 4. And start scaling this Graves up. A little late Graves for our potential liking, but it's still going to be extremely strong given the Nova emblem nonetheless. You can see the Akali tree was hit so late in this game as well by the other player. And seems that she got eaten up by the Jax right here. Still a reroller, so hopefully a little bit of less of a loss, 5 unit loss. Not taking these full losses, we are comfortable losing the last 3 rounds of this stage to make it to that level 9. He's covering a potential maybe for a very strong, very early fast 9, but who would be slotting in right now? Is it just Shen, since we gave up on the... No, we still have the Rammus, so I mean Shen is a possibility, but we still need a lot of gold to upgrade our units. And let's see how he's going to be mapping out the board. Fiora right there, Shen getting the Tom Kench still in nonetheless. So wanting to be pivoting off this Rammus. So we definitely want a lot of gold. Very lucky to be picking up a win against Ghost Fight right here. And we are in a comfortable position, I would assume, definitely just to econ up. And look to be sorting out better itemization on either this Graves or the Kindred herself. Going with the coolant build, which is also something you don't get to see so much. Since we have this blue buff right now, we are going to be going with the caster Graves on the backline also, but obviously since we have this glass cannon, the both things just synergizing a lot better than the assault frame for this particular itemization that we have right now. And we are completely fine to be using this Akali too as our melee carry right now. And yeah, to coolant with the blue buff is going to be able to do wonders. Going to be going here since we are on the interval pickup. We had the potential to make Vex 2, but do not exactly have the items for her. Find the Tom Kench, find the Fiora, going to be tying the board together that way. Also a Shen pair that we're probably going to be holding on to as once we find a better frontliner, we're definitely wanting to be moving off this Rammus. And you could see he probably was valuing picking up the wins right here, since he may be considering that his cap might not be the highest. Akali goes in the face of Xayah, just doesn't have exactly enough HP and is going to be dying as our frontline fell. Still, this level allowed us to minimize our losses and definitely put us in a good spot to be securing this top 4 right now, as we are going to be 2 lives heading into the stage 6. And we are still quite rich. You can see he's open selling his Rammus right now just to make that econ interval, since he does not want to be ending up on it, and this allows us to put in that Shen and make the econ interval, not hold on to the 10 goals on the units on the bench without no value. Going out for a roll down, are we going to be able to hit this front line right now? This is the crucial aspect. Pick up a Shen 2, finally on the last roll, find the Tom Kench 2. Going to be downrating the Kindred, which is very neat. He's recognizing the strength, and he's going to be fully trusting this Akali with this particular itemization. We do not exactly have the strongest items onto this Kindred, so that's probably the reasoning. Since we do not have that Rage Blade, it's going to be transitioning them to the Fiora instead. Do not pop our Anvil, as we only are on 1 remover. Want to be making sure we make the best use of that. And perhaps one thing, we definitely should get the 3rd item onto this Graves right now. Fiora 2 coming in. 5 costs seem a little bit uncontested into this lobby, so it's nice for us to be picking them up. Going with the Deathblade instead on this Graves. A little bit more survivability onto this Akali. Maybe with this Fiora too, we might have considered moving the items around if he had extra removers. But let's see how we fare up against the 2 tank. He does not have the Samira 3 that has missed, and we opted to push the levels for level 8 to just slot in the board they had, and that's going to allow us to pick up a win. And we are going to be in a 1v1 here remaining for the last fight, and the top 4 gets secured as well. Lots of eliminations, going very close lobby in these last few rounds. A little bit more gold influx going to be, we find a IE, I suppose, that's fine. Just toss it on the Shen for now, okay. That's completely fine. Could have perhaps considered rolling, maybe hit Kindred 2, then post it on her. No, this is going to be completely fine. Let's see how we fare against this Xayah board right now. Has a strong board, but Akali made it the wrap. Akali made the wrap and was able to take out the Xayah, and this is going to be a very convincing win. Let's see how exactly we managed to pull off this positioning right now. So we are leaving both of our units in the backline right here on this side to focus fire this whole front, and they do not have a tank right there. The tanks are indexed on the other side, and this Akali is just going to be having enough burst to get there. Fiora tackles in, and the so the Fiora blocked the Hex towards the Tahm Kench. The Tahm Kench had to walk up, and this allowed the Akali to win. I suppose that was a 50-50 to get right on the backline right there. Well indexed positionings play right there, and now let's jump in our reroll game. For our reroll game, we're going to be looking at the first few stages, as this is where the key decisions are going to be made. We are playing in a Kayle Thresh game with a 3-cost star, starting out with the Samira. Can be used both as a pathway to your Xayah if the constellation is good, or as a possibility for obviously that 2-tank reroll. Niche cases where she can also be utilized as a duo carry in the Space Groove line. Otherwise, I have the possibility of holding onto this Rek'Sai pair if you wanted to. He seems to be satisfied with his chicken instead for a very first while. Now we see the Akali in the shop. I mean, losing a shop on stage 1 is not something I would highly recommend. This is where you're going to be setting up your game, but this is WigWugg. He's playing in ladder. Every other pro is preparing for EWC, so we're going to be playing right there. Our spot right now is that we are having these snipers to be playing around. Otherwise, we have hold obviously onto this Akali. Holding onto the Leona for possibility, but we have the Spear of Shojin if we wanted to play in some form of AP flex, but definitely would want to see a potential for a Leona print first. Also, Talon can hold the Spear of Shojin extremely well. Treasure Hunt, top tier, reroll augment. You can just sometimes click it and say, I'm gonna figure this out. If the reroll lines are in the game, might is a little bit more fast 8 leaning right now. But if you have the potential, see that the reroll lines are uncontested, just pick like this and figure it out. And then we also have Epoch, just a generic econ option. Salvage Bin is great for the tempo purposes. We do not have the strongest of the openers, especially since we skipped a single shop earlier on. Prize Fighter, obviously, you know, strong board, can capitalize on this item tempo, make it to your fast 9, which is going to be amazing in that case. Makeshift Armor, if you do not have any frontline items, is a decent option, particularly in some lines like something like a Dark Star. But again, you want to be tempoing of that possibility. We find this Akali, we find the Jax again, very similar start for us right now. Do not exactly have the item slams right now, and he's probably enjoying his time chatting with the chat as well. So we're going to be opting to make instead slot in the 2 Nova, slot in the Bastions, and playing around this. Might just going to be focusing on making these econ intervals and then spiking ourselves probably on the stage 3 to proc these treasure chests and play for that spike window. We are definitely going to be wanting to secure these rounds on the stage 3, as this is where you're going to be making or breaking your game. And every kind of reroll comp wants to have a very strong stage 3, because if you don't, then you know you're going to be hitting your 3 stars probably at around 4-1, 4-2, which is what should be considered on tempo. But if you're tempoing a little bit lower, if you're hitting them a little bit slower, you want to have those extra lives to be pushing. And we have the player who's also playing around this Primordial Akali opener, one of the best ways to get into this reroll line. But they have the Rogue Emblem, they might still consider Akali, right? You can have that replacement for the Edge of Night, but particularly in the reroll variant, you want to be having the Gunblade to keep this Jax alive. And you can see there's a player open with Earth. I would assume they might be considering playing into the Space Groove. Nova would more want to be playing from a tempo kind of a spot. And there's also an anima player. He's also opening up for the anima player. So we're going to be picking up some wins. Not going to be able to loss 3 here to make the gold as aggressively as we wanted to. And nonetheless, we should be... This is also going to probably incline us a little bit more into the potential for the reroll variant, as you are not particularly rich. You're not lacking the tempo either. You have this mid kind of a board. You are mixed streaking. This sometimes considered some of the worst spots to be in, but if you have a strong reroll line, particularly as this one open, and you have the setup for it, you're definitely wanting to be considering the possibility for committing to it. Opted to pick up a Thresh right there, as simply that is going to provide a higher cap for ourselves. It's great to have these items from the Kayle, particularly if we might have to consider something like a sword, but we definitely want some extra form of econ right now if we can. And we have a duplicator for ourselves, which is immense value for this reroll line, definitely locking our line in right there. That was one of the high rolls that potentially could allow this game to be a true win out. We also possibly want to be hunting for a glove if we can, if you're going to be receiving an anvil, since the treasure hunt has a 50% chance for providing ourselves with a spatula, and a reforger, right? And that is going to allow you to make that Nova emblem as well, alleviating the necessity to be playing Caitlyn, which is pretty much a dead unit onto this board at the later stages of the game. The Stargazer board right there with an Arbiter. Maybe they're going to be kicking some up, but looks like they might be instead considering bleeding into the Zaya. Deathblade slammed right there with the Rogue emblem. Has a Milio too, which is an interesting way how they opted to put tempo around that Milio too. We are just very some if this player is going to be opting to go for the Akali was a third reroll as well, but we have the duplicator, which is an upside potentially, going to be slamming the Stoneblade, going to be slamming that Gunblade right away, and definitely going to be holding on to this anvil to see what the next augment provides for ourselves. That can create an impact, and we're not under extreme pressure to be winning this round right now. Q into Bob, who is full streaking level 7 here, playing into that Zaya with that red buff slam for sure. This player, I doubt they're going to be playing MF reroll. You definitely need down card for this MF reroll to be truly viable. And for augments, we opted to hold on to Alawi, which is also interesting pickup. Not exactly sure what he might be considering right there. Maybe play some anima, but you need to play a reroll. That is an interesting choice. Salvage bin again, tempo option. Heroic grab bag if you're playing for reroll. We need some gold right now in our spot. Is immense value. We're going to be receiving some items and stuff from the treasure hunt, therefore Portable Forge is going to lose a little bit of value. The greater onto one to lock in your line. We have some misses, and if we hit this and then enable the tempo or fully hit our 3 stars, then this Portable Forge is not going to lot of value. Heroic grab bag, just a safer choice, exactly what we need in our spot. Forward thinking, great for your fast 8 boards. We are not in exactly a spot to be picking it up. We're too low HP already. Exclusive customization. Generically, if you just need some items and a little bit of extra econ, it's a fine pickup. Heroic grab bag, however, again, more value for ourselves right now. 3 duplicators. We should be in a good spot to roll hit. Going to be rolling down here, wanting to be stabilizing and picking up the rounds right away. On a Kali pair, so I could imagine we potentially roll even a little bit deeper right here. We do so, and are going to be proccing our first treasure chest as well, able to pick that Protector's Vow immediately for the Jax, and going to be committing this Glove to Strikers, committing our items. We are in a good spot in my opinion. We have our tank, we have our carry, we have the supporting units. Even though unupgraded, they're going to be linking together our trade tree, and just the only worrisome part might be that, you know, we have a little bit less HP on the board due to these support units not being upgraded, but the Akali is extremely strong unit. We also have secured the Morgana that we're going to be slotting in right now instead of this Caitlyn, as is going to provide more value, and the durability on the Jax is going to be quite nice. There has been some experimenting to mention going on around playing around Protector's Vow instead of a Stone Plate for this Jax, as simply just getting this first cast right away, getting the cast off so he can go with the flat damage reduction, and particularly while he has the maximum value from the Stone Plates, so he's less susceptible to burst. And since it doesn't scale anymore with rods, we're not going to be picking up Kale here with the rod because we do not exactly want it. Simply trash, more value, higher endgame potential scaling. And we should be completely fine to be just econing back up for ourselves and again going for the potential roll. We are in a good spot to be considering hitting. That's going to provide us with even more gold. That's just quite nice. We can slide roll here, obviously. Have potential close to upgrades. Not going to be afraid to dig a little bit more to proc this next treasure chest to see what it is. And we're going to be hitting that Nova emblem, which is the 50-50 out, exactly what we get. Allows us to Nova select the Akali and definitely live in these last 2 rights of the stage, I would imagine. You can see a player here tempoing around at Akali too, has the 100 HP with the slam, and they're incredible spot to potentially quap height high within something like the Graves Fast 9 variant. Otherwise, I do not exactly see how they're going to be making those items work, but are playing around that Edge of Night since they do not have the Gunblade and Quicks. Yeah, this seems like a Graves Fast 9 if they're going to be having the spot for it. The Rogue Emblem player, I am considering playing Quirky Riven. That was the default way you would be considering playing if you have the Rogue Emblem, but obviously the reroll variant is completely fine. Finishing ourselves a 4 streak right now, and skipping a little ahead here because he was showing off little buddy, but best site if you need any kind of tables. But we're going to be going for our roll down right now. We are picking up extra copies, cashing out this, and yeah, probably going to use our Reforger right there, as we do not want the extra Shed and Sunder. Still opted to just run out of time pretty much. Do not consider rolling further. We are still at 5 and 5 copies, have 3 duplicators, so we need to be finding only about 3 more copies, and we're going to be definitely able to spike. And with a 5 streak secured, we are in an amazing spot. We are, even though this is, if we, maybe we hit next round. Yeah, speaking a little bit about all your tables in one place, everything you might be finding. Best friends, a little tricky to work out in this solo frontline positioning, but it's going to still be a stronger combat option than the climb the ladder, particularly since it now gives also the magic resist Pandora's items in stage 4. If your items are absolutely horrible, this is a pickup. Otherwise, you're going to be losing a lot of tempo in the place of the game where you want to be tempoing hard as possible. So possibly just defaulting best friends. See the cybernetic implants, that gives us a sword. We still want to be sorting some of our items out. This is amazing augment in this comp. Otherwise, second wing is going to be a stronger combat option, particularly for this Jax. Very strong to just heal him up once we hit him 3-star. May the Force, if you need a Jhin, this is a great pickup for you, particularly in the Xayah line. Yeah, this gives us an open sword for this Akali. Might consider GS if you need it for tempo purposes. Going to be rolling down instead 6 and 6 copies. Just a few copies away, so we're not afraid to roll deep. Find a Kindred that allows us to slot in the Kate, get rid of this Caitlyn. And now we are only a single copy away. This sometimes happens when you're a little bit lower on the gold, but we are completely fine. If we find just one more copy, we are going to have our spike, and we are going to be securing pretty much a very strong path to the just push level 8 or maybe even level 9 at this kind of a place. Find the last copy, going to be using our duplicators to spike, and well, if you want to watch the game, it's available in the link down below. But we are going to be winning out the game from here on out, as it's super strong. The comp is super strong. Therefore, let's jump in our summary and summarize our learnings. So, what did we learn? In short, Akali's itemization is quite important. You definitely want her to have some form of survivability, either Gunblade, particularly in that reroll to keep the Jax alive, or Edge of Night, and then have raw AD into her in form of Deathblade or Striker's Flail can also help that, particularly with the survivability aspect as well. And Striker's Flail synergizes greatly with the crit she provides. Then the Jax's build, Stoneplate, Crown Guard, WoW are pretty much hard biz as well. However, our approach heavily determines on the spot recognition. Depending on the 2-1 and 3-2 augments, do we have something that enables our reroll? And what is our tempo looking like? Therefore, always ask yourself, what is my spot looking like on 3-2 and 4-2? And make the decision accordingly. If the lobby is heavily contesting the Jaxes and the Akalis, we can always play for that fast 8 variant, or even in the super high roll cases, consider going for that fast 9 with an extra econ augment that we can pick up in the later stages of the game, utilizing the earlier picks for heavy tempo. We can be quite flexible with emblems, and Nova emblem is incredibly strong because it allows you to drop the Caitlyn from your board. Other things to note regarding the comp: certain artifacts are extremely strong, Prowler's Call and Servalman particularly. You can also play this from the Infinity Force augment, and Collector can help you generate a little bit of extra econ. Thus Defiance seems decent in stats as well. Otherwise, picking up a tank artifact for the Jax as your last resort is also a possibility. In the reroll variant, Urgot is going to be stronger than Bel'Veth. The Kindred doesn't really need the Challenger, and ideally you are capping around Fiora plus TK by then dropping the Urgot. However, it's a fine slot in to have and carry on if you are playing around Primordian Opener. Remember to keep the items on the Akali too, just because she is so strong, until you get to something like Fiora 2 or Graves 2. And that's the summary in short. As usual, the cheat sheet is going to be available in the description down below. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.